3 of the preseason top 4 ranked teams are already
That's
unranked.
Cool.
I feel like every year there's at least one preseason top 10 team that is that's preseason top 10 that finishes season unranked. Looks a little blurry there. I don't know on your end, but that's a little better. But yeah, so right now it's, I mean, what was it? Preseason 1 was Texas, 3 was Penn State, 4 was Clemson, and to see all 3 of those not in the top 25 is kind of crazy. My graphic says top 25, but I'm just showing the top 10 there. But yeah, Georgia's back in the top 10. I read you that stat last week that since that blowout of Mississippi State in 2017, Georgia's been outside of the top 10, outside of the top 10 for 6 weeks total. So things are a little back to normal with Georgia in their rightful space back in the top 10. But we'll see how long it lasts. A couple difficult games coming up here. The Ole Miss Rebels sitting up there at number 4 a couple weeks from now. But we're not looking ahead, of course. We're focused on Auburn right now. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about this top 10 right now? Would you have Ohio State 1 or Miami 1?
Yeah, I would have Ohio State 1. I feel vindicated from saying early, like before the season started, that Ohio State should have been the preseason number 1. I still can't believe that Texas, after not winning the national championship, not even winning their conference, losing their starting quarterback, losing their number 1 receiver, losing their best safety, losing their best corner, like that was the most drummed up media hype for no real reason. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't understand the media's obsession with crowning Texas as the new number 1 superpower, the new Bama, if you want to say that, when they hadn't won anything yet. I'm all for, if Texas goes on a run and they win a championship, I'm all for crowning them. But they didn't do that. And to see them, I didn't think they'd be unranked by now for sure, but to see them not be ranked and not be in the top 10 anymore, it's kind of like, well, yeah, because that was a manufactured hype train, I think, that came crashing because it wasn't really based on anything other than vibes and people just kind of wanting there to be something there that wasn't there yet.
Yeah, there was definitely this assumption that Texas was just already this kind of factory that just reloads every year. It's like, that's what Ohio State is. So if you're just going to like fill in your bracket based on the helmet and you don't really know the personnel, yeah, I'm with you. Do that with Ohio State. Texas still, I feel, I'm not going to say I don't think anyone predicted like to the extent that some of these things have happened, but I feel pretty validated in my preseason just vibes of all 3 of those teams. Yeah. It's just like I never thought Penn State was legit, but I did not think they were going to lose to UCLA. I thought they were just going to do the Penn State thing and go 10-2 and lose to the 2 top 10 teams you play and be the 9 seed in the playoff, and because you're a good program. But to lose to UCLA the way they did was just shocking.
That was crazy.
But
I shouldn't have gone on here and immediately started crapping on Texas, because Penn State is the story of this week, dude. Holy, how did that happen?
But from a Texas perspective, though, I feel like we were kind of sitting here like you guys being Texas fans kind of dogged Quinn Ewers last year. So the guy who's not as good as Quinn, the guy who's not good enough to beat out Quinn Ewers is gonna all of a sudden be the best player in college football. It never really made sense in my mind. Now Feinbaum's take was so bad they're taking him off ESPN about it. Yeah. But then Clemson too. It was like, are we all forgetting that Clemson lost every time they played a good team last year, other than SMU in the ACC championship? It was Georgia. It was like Louisville. Who else was it? Like, it wasn't even like great teams. There was another team in the ACC that was just like a solid team.
Yeah,
I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but South Carolina. That was the other one.
Yeah. The argument for Texas, or for Clemson, I guess, was just they were returning so many guys, and they had Klubnik coming back, and they had that front 7, and the championship pedigree with Dabo. If that means anything to you, but it just turns out that they just weren't very good. Like they're just not. I think of the 3 teams that are not ranked anymore that we're talking about, I think they're probably the worst one. Texas probably still the best one. I don't know. I just, it's insane that Ohio State won the national championship, returned the best player in the country on defense and offense, and was first ranked below the team that they beat in the playoff that lost more production than Ohio State did. I cannot. I know it's easy to sit here in hindsight, so I'll stop harping on it. But like, I cannot believe that was ever a thing.
No, that's fair. I'm not sure I agree with like your number one until you lose. Like, because teams can lose so much from the previous year. Like, if you ranked LSU preseason number one in 2020, like, you just knew for a fact that team wasn't going to be as good. But I guess no one knew they were going to be whatever they were, like 7-5 or maybe worse that year.
They were bad, yeah.
I guess it's 2020, so they played like 10 games. But yeah, I guess I don't completely hate that logic either at the same time. Right now, I think, after week one, I'm throwing out like last season, and we'll try to judge you based on this year. But right now, if I was ranking it, I'd have Miami number one personally. They look like the best team, because let's keep in mind, like, that Texas win is kind of the biggest notch on Ohio State's resume, and we kind of think they're terrible right now. The same could be said for Oregon. Like, that Penn State win is really the only legitimate notch on that resume. So we'll see if Ohio State and Oregon are that legit, or maybe they just expose Penn State and Texas early on.
Yeah, and we'll learn a lot about. I mean, which one of them is playing Indiana this week? I mean, like, we'll learn a lot.
Yeah, that's Indiana at Oregon. That's game day.
So we'll learn a lot about those teams. Even Ohio State's got a ranked matchup this week. They've got Illinois, right? Like that. Yeah. So we'll find out. Yeah, I agree.
And that's on the road too.
The Penn State and Texas wins were like their two biggest things for them to be in the top three, and then it's like, well, you actually don't even have Penn State and Texas ranked anymore.
Yeah,
it's just funny. I didn't think that they were actually going to unrank Texas and Penn State. I saw people saying that, and I kind of thought that they would, or that they should. But with the media, how much they glazed Texas in the preseason and even Penn State a little bit, I was like, there's no way they unranked them. That's their darlings, and they did. So
yeah,
that's crazy. I two teams in the top four or Texas was number 9, but them both getting unranked is very interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like exactly kind of same thought process. It was still jarring when I saw that neither was ranked. I was like, oh, wow. And now I had to go to the top 25. I was like, wow, Texas's game isn't in the top 25 teams right now. It was throwing me off. But yeah, and also what it goes to show is how difficult it is to go on the road in this conference. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Penn State went on the road and played in front of like 200 people in the Rose Bowl. But just going in the swamp, this Florida team has been left for dead, and it's still, I don't even know how much it says about Florida. I think probably Florida does have a pulse, but it's like, to me, it's more of a bigger indictment on Texas, because now with that performance versus Ohio State, who is really good and one of the best teams in college football, it's how it looked. It's like you know when you're watching a game that's a close game between two really good teams, and when you're watching two teams that just don't look very good, like neither of those offenses really did anything in that game. And it was week one, and maybe they've come a long way since, but Arch is still doing the same stuff, just missing throws. It's like, it's one thing if you're getting sacked, there's a bunch of pressure and all that stuff, but like, I don't know, it's like balls just look bad, like coming out of his hand. Like it doesn't pass the eye test.
Yeah, I feel bad just like, because I know Arch is, I can't imagine what Arch goes through every day with the things that get said about him in the media and how much he gets ripped apart and the pedestal he's on. But yeah, he hasn't been what I think a lot of people thought he would be this year. I would say I was more down on Arch than most people, but I still thought Arch was really good, and I still think he's got a lot of talent. But he's having a rough year, man. I hope he can turn it around.
He did make that nice throw, like that 50-yard bomb, and then he was making some plays with his legs. It kind of looked like in the second half he was like, okay, maybe Texas is gonna, I don't know, like those games where the better team just starts to look like the better team at some point. It's like, I don't know what was happening. Like maybe like Georgia, South Carolina a couple years ago, was that 14-0 at halftime or something?
Yeah.
And then it was just like, okay, I don't know what happened in the first half, but these two teams are not on the same level. It's like Texas just never did that. They never came out and just looked like a better team than Florida. So it's just, it was very weird. And like, I feel like Florida, might be like a weird take. I said this last night on the Chase Thomas podcast, but I feel like there's like 5 teams in the SEC that all feel like the same team with just like varying levels of quarterback play. And they're all very differently ranked. So it's going to seem crazy to say all these are the same, but I feel like Texas A&M, Oklahoma, LSU, Auburn, and Florida all feel like the same team, just with different quarterbacks. Like their defenses are all just rowdy and get after it. They have playmakers, but it's like some of them have a quarterback that could throw 5 picks one day. Jackson Arnold doesn't throw picks, but he doesn't seem to do much. He just takes sacks. So it's like we've seen like with John Mateer, like it's not like they lit up Auburn. So like John Mateer's looked really good, made Oklahoma look like a top 5 team, and maybe it's disrespectful to Marcel Reed and some of the offensive numbers A&M's put up to this point, but all those teams just, I feel like they're legit contenders on defense, but any given day, like the offense, I don't know. I don't know necessarily how much you can trust it, if that's fair.
Yeah.
Same goes to Nussmeier too.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess that's just like an SEC talent baseline thing. Like all of those programs all take football very seriously, and it's a point of pride for all of them, and they're going to sink all the resources that they can into that program. It's just like, maybe this isn't fair to say because we've seen, like, for example, A&M, blow a bag on their team and it just not be good, but like you can spend a ton of money on like your defense and feel pretty good about it being a good defense. But yeah, it's just a little more fickle, I think, getting good quarterback play, and it just kind of always has been.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and it's not even to say just like base SEC level, because I don't think Alabama and Georgia's defenses have looked nearly as good as any of those other teams I named, just in terms of like creating havoc, creating just negative plays and things like that. But I think Georgia and Alabama have better offenses, more consistent offenses than any of those teams I named. So, and then Ole Miss is that question mark at the top. Like maybe they have all of it. I don't know. I'm still skeptical about Ole Miss. We'll see once their competition ramps up. But yeah, that's it's an interesting top 25 so far. Top 10, especially with 5 SEC teams in the top 10. There was talked about like there was a big 3 kind of coming in: Georgia, Alabama, and Texas. And you got Ole Miss, A&M, and Oklahoma right there at 4, 5, 6. So anything can happen in this conference. It's gonna be a wild next couple months.
Yeah, it'll be crazy. This conference is just insane, and it looks like there's even more top end teams in the SEC than usual, with A&M and Oklahoma being on the rise like they are. So not even on the rise; they're in the top 6 now. So yeah, it'll be a hell of a October, November in the good old Southeastern Conference.